Howdy y'all, Atlas here, and welcome back to another video. A couple of days ago, Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, ordered the population of Gaza to evacuate Rafah ahead of an expected ground invasion. There's only one problem with that. There is quite literally nowhere else for the Palestinian people to go. Let me explain. Gaza is quite literally the world's greatest humanitarian crisis and has been described by many as the world's largest open-air prison. Let me show you why. The Gaza Strip is approximately 140 square miles. Now, given the country's population of 2.2 million people, that makes the Gaza Strip one of the most densely packed areas in the world. So naturally, when the carpet bombings began, there was a catastrophic amount of civilians displaced. So, where could they have fled? Fleeing by plane wasn't an option because Israel destroyed Gaza's only airport back in 2001. Fleeing by ship also wasn't an option because Gaza's waters are completely controlled by Israel, not to mention the massive Israeli blockade in the way. Gaza shares a border with Egypt, but the Rafah border crossing is completely closed except for a few humanitarian aid trucks permitted to enter each day. The only other option would be fleeing into Israel itself, but every single border crossing, except for one or two if you count the commercial crossing, had been shut down prior to October 7th. The only one left, Bay Hanun, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, crossing, is only open to Palestinians who have special permits from Israel. So, when Israel launched their invasion of the Gaza Strip from northern Gaza, the only direction refugees could flee was south. And as the invasion pushed south, more and more people were displaced and continued to flee further and further south. So now, with most of the Gaza Strip occupied by the Israeli occupation forces, roughly half of Gaza's population of 2.2 million is taking refuge in Rafah, which is right on Egypt's doorstep. It's absolutely disgusting when Israel has the nerve to order Palestinians to evacuate Rafah, knowing full well that they have nowhere else to run. And then yesterday, when the American consumer was conveniently engrossed in the Super Bowl, they began pouring bombs on Rafah. But it's still not genocide, right? It's self-defense. No. If you still believe this is self-defense, you have completely lost touch with reality. You cannot look me dead in the eyes and tell me that killing 12,000 children is justifiable. Not a single damn thing can justify that. This is the reality of the world we live in. The average American is distracted by propaganda and novelties while their retirement money is being spent on bombing poor, desolate countries thousands of miles away. And I mean, an old Roman saying describes it well. Panem et circenses. Bread and circumstances. The idea is that you keep the general populace fed and entertained, then revolution and change is prevented and the masses are controlled. So, if you're too enamored to look away from your bread and circuses, you won't see the crops dying or the circus tents burning. And by the time you realize what's happening, it's too late. That's why the people at the very top, the oligarchy, the bourgeoisie, are counting on the average American remaining ignorant. If every American understood what was being taken from them, what they could have, and how they could fix things, then the system would collapse in on itself. The system is built on ignorance and exploitation. That's why staying informed, thinking critically, and challenging our preconceived notions is so important. I mean, I get it. No one would get it more than me. I'm a political science major. Politics sucks sometimes. That's a fact. And I know it can be really depressing sometimes, but I also know that the better world that we want is within reach. That's all I have for today. Thank you all for watching. Please consider donating to the UNRWA below, or other forms of Palestinian aid, or spreading the word if you can't donate. I know there's been so much Gaza coverage on this channel lately, but I mean, it is really important, and honestly, other news stories just feel kind of small compared to this one. Of course, this isn't the only genocide or human rights atrocity being committed on Earth. Obviously, you have places like the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan, Yemen, etc. I've just been focusing on Palestine because that's where I have the most education. But I definitely want to read up on those places as well. As well as other stuff like theory, yeah. Anyway, I hope everyone has a good rest of their day, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.